Iran launched its first military satellite in April in the midst of the coronavirus outbreak, prompting a bipartisan push by 90% of U.S. House members to extend an arms embargo against Iran. However, there are also increasing calls to ease some trade and financial restrictions that hinder Iran's ability to import critical drugs and medical equipment. This as the nation struggles with one of the highest coronavirus infection rates in the Middle East.
I see that as, a moral obligation countries imposing sanctions have to minimize the adverse effects of these sanctions on civilian populations.
Venezuela was experiencing shortages of food and medicine even before the U.S. imposed sanctions on its oil industry to weaken socialist leader Nicolas Maduro's grip on power. The coronavirus pandemic has made Venezuela's situation even worse as the collapse of global gasoline prices has decimated oil revenue, the country's economic lifeline. The U.S. State Department offered to lift some sanctions if Venezuela formed a transitional government without Maduro. But Caracas has so far rejected the U.S. offer, and Maduro has indicated he may cancel next year's legislative elections because of the pandemic. In North Korea, neither Kim Jong-un's return to public view after a long, unexplained absence, nor Pyongyang's dubious claims to have no coronavirus cases have eased growing concern that the pandemic is disrupting food supplies in a country already suffering from shortages. Advocates for tough sanctions on North Korea over its nuclear weapons program argue that providing coronavirus aid would allow authoritarian governments to spend more resources on weapons and illicit activities.
If during this virus our sanctions force behavioral change, in that the regimes spend the money they have on their people to fight the virus and not on illicit conduct, that's actually a good outcome for the United States and our national security.
While the pandemic may weaken America's adversaries, Washington is being urged by rights groups and others to balance the need to maintain pressure on authoritarian leaders with the growing humanitarian needs of people living under those regimes. Brian Padden, VOA News, Washington.